Right now on 7 News Live at 5, the Georgia runoff elections are well underway right now. We've got the very latest on the races as the end of voting draws near.
And the latest on a Greenville County motel that was the site of a shooting and why residents say today caused more stress and fear.
Plus, we head to an Anderson County Council meeting where the seriousness of the COVID-19 surge was a major topic of discussion today. We'll get to all of those stories here shortly, but first, let's talk about this great weather we had today. Nice and breezy out there, Chief Meteorologist Christy Henderson.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Ben. You know, we've had a little cloud cover around, but a bit of a breeze and mild temperatures. In fact, some upstate areas have been near 60 degrees. Not bad for early January. We did have one system, though, working its way through that's been able to produce some snow in the higher elevations in North Carolina. And in fact, there's a winter weather advisory in effect until 10 p.m. tonight for elevations above 3,500 feet. Just a few little snow showers still going there in the northern mountains. Otherwise, some cloud cover in North Carolina, clearing skies across the upstate. And again, not feeling too bad out there with mid to upper 50s across parts of the upstate, low 40s in the mountains. Now, skies continue to clear. That breeze will bring in the cool air tonight, and we'll expect overnight lows to drop down into the upper 20s to lower 30s. So a light freeze on the way for tonight. We'll talk more about weather changes coming in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Christy. We now go to the coverage of the Georgia runoff elections that we have planned for you, where voters have about 2 hours left to cast their votes and determine which party controls the U.S. Senate.
Yeah, everyone's watching this one. We do have team coverage with 7 News' Melanie Palmer in Hart County, where we have been tracking polling, and reporter Skylar Henry is in Atlanta with more on the candidates.
Our Bureau Chief Reporter Archis Sasadri is also joining us live from Atlanta to bring us more on voting today. And
we begin with Skylar Henry, who has been following elections and speaking with folks heading to the polls.
Voters in Georgia went to the polls Tuesday to cast ballots in 2 Senate runoff races with national consequences.
It's going to be close. We don't know who's going to win.
Philip Harrison already voted. Today, he drove his neighbor.
If I hadn't brought him, he probably wouldn't have voted.
Republican Senator David Perdue is facing off against Democrat John Ossoff, and Republican Senator Kelly Loeffler is going up against the Reverend Raphael Warnock. Both Democrats have to win to flip control of the Senate.
This is our day. It's about Georgia.
The future of the country is on the ballot here in Georgia today.
We've seen a steady stream of voters here at this Atlanta polling site, but no long lines. Poll workers tell us that's probably because of the record 3 million early voters. Still, some wanted to wait until today.
And she went through and she was like, I did it.
Pamela Frink brought her daughter to share in the experience.
The joy of being able to see, her understand what today means and what it holds for our future, it just made me feel proud.
Hannah Meacham designed this truck to energize voters.
Rolling up to polls and playing fun music and getting people excited, I think kind of shows a different side to voting.
It could be days before all the votes are counted and winners are declared, but Georgia's Republican Secretary of State tells CBS News there is no reason to doubt the results of today's election. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Atlanta.
Now, the Senate candidates spent a record amount of money on these runoff elections. Each Democratic candidate raised more than $100 million in 2 months, compared to more than $60 million each for the Republicans.
Today's election has become a tight runoff race for those 2 key powerful positions. 7 News reporter Melanie Palmer joining us live now from one of those precincts in Hart County, right there in our viewing area with more. Melanie.
It's a voter turnout for a runoff election like never before here in Hart County. We're talking thousands of more voters casting their ballots already today, and there's still 2 hours left until the polls closed. Earlier today, I've been talking to the elections coordinator here in Hart County, who originally told me she was anticipating there would be around 3,000 ballots cast altogether, but as of 1:45 today, there was already over 2,100. Now she's anticipating that number to be far over 4,000. Take a listen.
We had over 5,100 voters during early voting, and then we've processed over 2,100 absentee ballots.
As for wait times, earlier today we were told that the max was 15 minutes. Right now, though, if you take a look around my shoulder here, this is the first time we're seeing a line formed out of here. Just minutes ago, there was actually no wait time. We were watching people go in and out in a matter of 3 or 4 minutes. This process going along fairly smoothly, still is, but more people have been coming in, especially that people have been getting out of work and able to come and vote now. So this is the longest we've seen the line. We've also heard this is one of the busier precincts in the area. This is the Hart County Recreation Center. So we'll be out here as well as more cars come in, more voters stop by, and take a look at those numbers again later tonight. Live in Hart County, Melanie Palmer, 7 News.
Now, Georgia voters have their last chance to make their voices heard at the nearly 2,700 polling precincts. And Atlanta Bureau Chief Archit Seshadri is at a polling location in Atlanta with the very latest. Archit?
Yeah, that's right. We are in Midtown Atlanta, and as you can see behind me, the lines look pretty good. There's not a whole lot of people here, not a lot of wait. In fact, the Secretary of State says they only had about an average wait time of 1 minute across most polling precincts in Georgia, with only a handful experiencing more than a 30-minute wait time. So certainly good news there. And the reason they say that is because more than 3 million Georgians already voted early, either through in-person early voting or mailed in their absentee ballot. So here's what's going to happen within the next few hours. Polls close in Georgia at 7 p.m. Eastern. Then the counties can then count all of those ballots and start tabulating those results. Those will be unofficial results that we'll see on the Secretary of State's website. Counties technically have until next Friday, the 15th of January, to certify them, and then the state has until the 22nd of this month to officially certify those results. But we know with such highly contested races, every vote counts, and everyone's watching to find out who the winners will be tonight.
The elections of 2020 were some of the most secure, most observed, most transparent elections, most participation we've ever seen, particularly in spite of a global pandemic. And so in reality, the election was probably the best this country has ever seen as far as reflecting the will of the people and the American voters.
And what's going to be interesting about all of this is the Secretary of State says there are no examples of voter fraud, voter irregularities, and in fact they are doing their investigations if they see that, but so far smooth sailing, no major issues if at all. So right now the wait and watch game is on. Still a few hours until polls close here in Georgia. Reporting live in Atlanta, Archit Seshadri, 7 News.
Wait and watch for sure. Thank you, Archit. And we will, of course, keep you updated as we get those numbers from Georgia tonight. We're going to have them on air and on our website, WSPA.com, as well as on the 7 News app.
Now to a developing story in Greenville County. Residents in a motel worried they'd be forced out in the cold when deputies arrived at the Economy Inn on Augusta Road this morning. The county is worried that building attracts crime, but people now say they're afraid of losing their home. 7 News reporter Kimberly Brown brings us the story.
Those who live at the Economy Inn say they've seen their fair share of trouble. On this day, doors are open, and many of them say they're not sure they'll have a place to live. For Torrance Evans, the Economy Inn has been home for a few years. Now he's worried he'll lose his home because of an unexpected knock on his door early Tuesday morning.
You put your money into a room, and I don't want to get kicked out because it's the only place I've been in and all I know, and I can afford during these times.
Bob Mahalik with the Greenville County Governmental Affairs Office says code enforcement showed up at the complex as a response to a complaint. He declined to go on camera, but says no action was taken as of noon Tuesday. A recent shooting here left one woman dead, and local law enforcement wants the motel closed. County Commissioner Ennis Fant says Tuesday's visit by code enforcement was just to make an assessment of the facility.
I'm upset the last time they got shut down, my money. I paid my money and I had to get kicked out.
The rent is $50 a day, $210 a week, which must be paid in advance. So if anything happens to cut short a renter's stay, that money may be lost.
There's people with kids out here. Can y'all please help us? Just don't throw us out there and have us with nowhere to stay because it's too cold out here for that.
My room was one of the rooms. I was one of the cleanest rooms they seen out here. And they said it was me and my other homegirl, Patty, and they said our room was not condemned.
Linda Rice was a good friend of the shooting victim, Alicia Laws, and Rice lives the balance between keeping a home and protecting her safety.
It's really hard for me. I'm looking on my shoulder every day because when they see her, they see me. and now she gone, and you know, it make you think, is you next?
A makeshift memorial still stands after a recent shooting, and now code enforcement going door to door, and residents telling us they're feeling uneasy. Reporting from Greenville, Kimberly Brown, 7 News.
Commissioner Fant says when it's time to close the motel permanently, residents will get 30 days notice, and the county will have resources available to help them find a new place to live. Well, a group of people found a body inside a freezer at an abandoned South Carolina home that they had heard was haunted. It happened Sunday in a small town, Norway, which is in Orangeburg County. Deputies say 8 people were four-wheeling in the area and stopped to look inside that home. That's when they found the badly decomposing body in a freezer on the back porch. The sheriff's office says the property owner is cooperating.
New information now. Governor Henry McMaster has set a deadline for people in Phase 1A of the state's vaccination plan to get their COVID-19 shots. McMaster says that he's frustrated with the current rate vaccines are being given across the state. He has ordered a January 15th deadline for people in Phase 1A to get their shots or schedule an appointment for one. He says anyone who doesn't will go to the back of the line in the next phase. The governor says he wants to eliminate any bottlenecks.
We expect to see some progress. If we don't see some progress, then we will cause some progress. We'll issue the orders and make the directives necessary to see to it that the people out there, many of whom are ready and willing to get the vaccination, can get that vaccination without undue delay.
Now, as of this afternoon, DHEC is reporting that just 1/3 of the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccines in South Carolina have been administered.
All new tonight, a state of emergency is in place for Anderson County due to drastic COVID-19 impacts. This will put a halt to any county-sponsored events and meetings in person for the next 61 days. We get the story now from Asia Wilson.
Things like the Anderson County Council meeting, which is typically held in this particular space, will be a part of that halt. I'm told they want to create safer environments for everyone and not create more spaces for COVID-19 to spread. Anderson County Administrator Rusty Burns says the emergency ordinance is in place after COVID-19 numbers have skyrocketed. Hospitals within Anderson are stretched thin and near capacity. As a response, the county is trying to prevent anything that would cause people to be together. Now, under the state of emergency, all county boards, commissions, and committees will not meet unless necessary or by remote for 61 days.
This is not intended as a mask ordinance. That's not on the table. But really, just to cut down on the number of meetings that our various boards and commissions have, like the Planning Commission, Human Rights Advisory Council, any outside meetings we have in economic development, that we would attract a large public crowd. So that's primarily the focus, to not create super spreader locations.
Now, Anderson County Administrator Rusty Burns says in 30 days they will look at the effectiveness of this ordinance and review what will happen next. I'm also told if anyone has any projects or anything they want to talk to the county about, they could do so by phone. In Anderson County, Asia Wilson, 7 News.
As of Monday, Anderson County has partnered with ANMED to give 300 doses of COVID-19 vaccines to EMTs and paramedics this week. And then after that, it will then go to fire departments and law enforcement. DHEC will issue more doses to the county for distribution later on this month. Still ahead at 5, we have more on a special announcement from the governor as schools across South Carolina could see additional funding. Back with the story happening now, some COVID-19 relief funds are on their way to state agencies to help with things like education and jobs. Governor McMaster announced his new plan for some of the money in the Governor's Emergency Education Relief Fund. Our Jason Raven shows us where that $20 million will be going.
The governor announced today that the money will help children in foster homes prepare children in poverty for kindergarten and be used to help the unemployed find new jobs with some training at technical colleges.
$19.9 million.
After the state Supreme Court ruled his plan to use COVID-19 relief money for private school tuition grants unconstitutional, the governor announced his new plan for some of that money.
We had needs before the pandemic got here, and these funds developed in consultation with those you see here, and we gave them what they asked for.
The The governor says these investments will help strengthen the workforce and improve education for children in foster care and living in poverty. $5 million is going to help nearly 600 children living in group homes across the state by increasing internet bandwidth at those homes and providing tutoring services.
This intentional investment in their education will help close educational achievement gaps caused by the pandemic and lead to improved outcomes for their future.
Another $7 million will go to expand pre-K options for families in poverty. Now, officials say the pandemic has led to a dip in enrollment in these programs. They say this will help prepare more students for kindergarten in the state.
It will allow more families who need a full-time workday program to be able to get that need met while their children are in a high-quality educational program.
And another $8 million will go to the state technical college system to help train unemployed South Carolinians in other careers to help land jobs. And the Palmetto State Teachers Association, who were critical of the SAFE Grants program the governor originally announced, say these investments will benefit more South Carolinians.
We think that these are wise, targeted investments that both are going to address some of the right now needs that are resulting from the pandemic, but also have ripple effects long term that'll benefit students hopefully long beyond when this pandemic is over.
Well, the governor has up until the middle of May to allocate the remaining $28 million from the GEAR Fund. From the State House, Jason Raven, 7 News.
And for more details on these investments, head on over to our website.
Greenville County Schools is responding to parents after making the decision to continue their in-person learning plan despite a recent rise in COVID-19 cases. District officials say they consulted upstate health professionals who did not recommend virtual learning based on the district's protocols. The district's media relations director says they are prepared to change their plans should the need arise.
But I assure you, if we see a change in the number of COVID cases in schools, if we see outbreaks, if we see so-called COVID clusters, none of which we've seen so far, but if we do, we will change course.
Again, the cases in school very different than the cases we're seeing in the public. Now, in mid-December, the State Department of Education also said school districts are getting an extra $84 million from the CARES Act to help them stay open for in-person learning. $7 million is going to Greenville County.
Well, we had a few passing showers around a few locations today, but all in all, it's been a nice afternoon. A bit of a breeze out of the north, temperatures above average for this time of the year. Well, skies are going to continue to clear and we expect a freeze overnight, so it will be a colder morning versus what we saw this morning. And then we're tracking the next weather system. This is the one we've been talking about for several days now. It will arrive late Thursday night into the day on Friday. It is going to produce snow in the mountains that will have a chance to accumulate. And of course, the big question is, how far south does that snow line get? Good chance it will try to dip into the northern portion of the upstate. Best snow chances north of I-85 getting into Friday morning. So obviously Friday will be a weather impact day. In the meantime, most of us have been dry today. We have had a few rain and even snow showers in the mountains of North Carolina. Some of that snow ongoing in the northern mountains, also northern sections of Swain County. A few leftover snow showers. Winds are out of the northwest. As the winds settle down later tonight, we'll see that snow ending. And then farther to the west is our main system that we're tracking for the end of the week. That system is a cold front, an upper level low pressure system actually diving southward that's going to help to energize that front, and the whole system will push in our direction to arrive here late Thursday night into early Friday. So for tonight, everything stays pretty quiet. A few lingering showers, snow showers in the higher elevations of North Carolina, but even that goes away into tomorrow morning. Winds will be out of the northwest. It might be breezy at times tomorrow, but we start out freezing. I think we'll see a lot of sunshine early on, a few high clouds during the course of the afternoon, and another mild day for us, so it will be dry. Getting into Thursday, in the morning, we start out with sunshine, but high clouds will arrive first, and then the lower clouds by Thursday evening. You can see by Thursday afternoon, Alabama will be looking at some rain, the upper level system trailing but pushing in our direction, and precipitation will arrive here by early Friday morning. So mountain snow accumulations are likely. Friday, of course, a weather impact day. Snow is possible near I-85, but upstate temperatures might stay above 32. So even if it snows, that would fall and then melt. In the meantime, with the snow we've had in the higher elevations today, winter weather advisory in effect until 10 p.m., so watch out there. Right now, temperatures are in the 40s and 50s. Not too bad for early January. Tonight, though, upper 20s to lower 30s. Forecast for the next 7 days shows the changes, though, that are on the way. Tomorrow, beautiful still, a little cooler. Thursday, not bad, but the clouds increase. Look for a few rain showers around the upstate by late Thursday evening. Friday's our weather impact day, so rain, potential for snow. The weekend is dry. Another system Monday night. And there's a mountain forecast, quiet for tomorrow. But Ben, it looks like it's going to be a messy one going through Friday with snow that'll have a chance to accumulate in the mountains, it looks like.
I know, it looks like that rain's not going to make it a pretty snow on Friday. Might make it a little messy for us, especially here in the upstate.
Yeah, exactly. And in some cases, it might be rain with a few snowflakes mixed in. But as long as that temperature stays above freezing, overall, travel will be wet but not frozen.
All right, thanks, Christy.
Still ahead, the Electoral College votes for the president were supposed to be certified today. We look at the continued battle on Capitol Hill. Washington is bracing for a Capitol Hill showdown tomorrow. The president continuing with plans to challenge the Electoral College vote certification, but those efforts are not expected to overturn President-elect Biden's win. Natalie Brand is at the White House with more on what we can expect.
Protesters have already begun to gather in Washington, D.C. ahead of Wednesday's count of Electoral College votes on Capitol Hill. Vice President Mike Pence paid a visit to the White House Tuesday as President Trump increases pressure on him to reject electors from several states, a power that vice presidents do not possess.
I hope Mike Pence comes through for us, I have to tell you. Of course, if he doesn't come through, I won't like him quite as much.
The vice president will preside over the largely ceremonial vote count, during which dozens of House Republicans and at least 13 GOP senators say they will object.
According to the rules, an objection would have to be raised by a lawmaker from both the House and the Senate. The chambers would then have to split up, debate up to 2 hours, and then vote on the challenge.
The Democratic-controlled House is expected to vote down the challenges, and several Senate Republicans have also spoken out strongly against the objection. One of the latest, Oklahoma Senator James Inhofe, who said in a statement, to challenge a state's certification, given how specific the Constitution is, would be a violation of my oath of office. Wednesday's expected congressional clash comes exactly 2 weeks before Inauguration Day. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris met with members of their transition team today.
Well, the election showdown is also spilling outside the Capitol building. President Trump has asked his supporters to gather in D.C. to protest the results as Congress prepares to certify the election results. So lawmakers are going on record calling the unproven claims of election fraud dangerous.
I would not want to be engaged in a process that is now provoking violence, disorder, and disbelief.
For their own safety, lawmakers are being encouraged to use underground tunnels to get around the Capitol complex. Stores in the immediate area are being boarded up just in case of violence. Coming up, we check back in with 7 News reporter Melanie Palmer live in Hart County, Georgia, as we follow the runoff election.